Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be about your EDC, or your everyday carry weapon. Basically, an EDC is a gun that you're going to carry every single day, that you familiarize yourself with, get comfortable with, something that you like to carry. There's so many platforms and different guns. I've got a few of them here. All of these guns have been safety checked prior to filming. This gun should be an extension of yourself. You should be able to function with this firearm, practice with it regularly. One of these firearms here on the table next to me, I've had 10,000 plus rounds that I've put through this weapon. And it shows its wear and tear in certain spots, but it's still an accurate firearm that I carry almost every single day. One of the things that you do need to be aware of are your laws and regulations in your state. In the state of Pennsylvania, where I reside, you can openly carry a pistol on your hip in a holster. However, the minute you get into a vehicle with that weapon holstered on your side, it is considered concealed, and you need a concealed carry permit to do so. So you're going to want to learn your laws and regulations beforehand. There's a lot of states that don't allow concealed carry without a permit. There are some that do. Again, it all just depends on where you live. Is there such thing as too much gun? I know people that carry a 454 Casull as their once in a while carry firearm, or maybe they carry it as, you know, a bear gun or something like that. That's totally up to you and your abilities of what you want to carry. My regular go-to is a 9mm, but I've got a 9mm, I've got a 45, I've got a 40 cal, I've got a 38, a 357. The list goes on, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. The first ones that we're going to show you are some revolvers. I have two here, one in 38 Special Plus P, and I have a 357 as well. So, the first one we're going to show you is a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. This is in 38 Special Plus P. What does Plus P mean? It basically means overpressurized loads, referring to the amount of powder and how much velocity the round has in the firearm. Again, we've safety checked this weapon. You can see there's nothing in this weapon. And like I said before, we've safety checked these prior. The nice thing about this is size. It is very small. I have carried this as an ankle gun. I have carried this outside my waistband and not even known that it's there. It is a 5-round cylinder. You flip up the toggle switch here, and it takes the cylinder out, and you load the weapon that way. The nice thing about this is there is a, I'm probably not going to be able to catch it on camera here, but there is a laser on this firearm that comes with it. Very small, very easy to conceal. This is something that you could carry wearing a suit, or if you're wearing slacks for a job interview or something like that. You could carry this as an ankle gun and you won't even know it's there. Now I'll show you the big brother. This one, however, is a 357 Magnum. This firearm is obviously a little bit heavier. It is also empty, nothing in the cylinder, nothing in the chamber. The two big differences you're going to notice right away, other than the size of the firearm, this one is hammered and this one is hammerless. So this one, a little bit easier on the draw, less things to get caught on when you're unholstering said firearm. Now, this is a double action revolver. What does that mean? I can cock the hammer like so, or I can pull the trigger, which will eventually discharge the firearm. This gun I specifically bought for backpacking trips because I needed something that was more powerful than my 38 Special. I use heavy bear loads in this firearm in case we encounter bears or mountain lion or whatever the case may be on the trail. I have a 24-mile hiking trip coming up, this gun will be with me, just for safety purposes. Again, heavier than the 38. The 357 is going to have a lot more kick. The other benefit to this firearm is that you can shoot 38 caliber rounds through this firearm as well as 357. There's a noticeable difference shooting it in this firearm. I've shot both. There's almost no recoil whatsoever with the 38 Special as opposed to the 357 rounds, and that's again all dependent on what load you have in your firearm. The one thing I will say for new shooters is simplicity. There's a lot less that can go wrong with one of these than with one of the semi-automatic handguns that we're going to show you shortly. The other benefit to this is if you're in a close quarters fight and for whatever reason somebody is on top of you and you need to get them off, you can physically drive this barrel into them before discharging. I'm going to show you in a little bit with one of the semi-automatic handguns why you can't do that with a semi-auto. Like I said, very simplistic, very easy to use. This one's a little bit much for an everyday carry gun. I carry this when I'm on the hiking trail, or I use this as a truck gun in the center console, something like that, whereas opposed to the 38 that I can basically carry anywhere. No problems whatsoever. There's no problem concealing this. It's very light. It's pretty much the size of my hand. The cons to the revolvers, obviously, your round count. You've got 5 rounds in the 38. You've got 6 in the 357. So your round counts are low. However, they make speed loaders for that, and you can carry 6 more rounds with you. It's all dependent on your accuracy and your abilities. Moving on to semi-automatic handguns, I've got 5 of them here. I've got 3 Glocks, 2 in 9mm, 1 in 40 caliber, and I've got 2 1911s here that I'm going to show you. This, and just to appease everybody, empty, no magazine. This is a Glock 22. This is one of the Gen 3s. I think they're up to the 5th generation of this firearm now. This is the first handgun that I ever bought when I turned 21. This was the first thing that I ever bought. The only thing done to this firearm is that I put True Glow night sights on this, and I put an extended slide lock lever on it. Since I shoot left-handed, it's easy for me to bring my thumb across and reload the weapon. The benefit to this full-size handgun is round count. You can carry 15 plus 1 meaning 1 in the chamber, 15 in your magazine. This is a double stack magazine. What does that mean? You can see there the 2 dots. Each one of those represents a round. Double stacked means there's 2 on top of each other. Whereas something like a Glock 43, which we'll show you in a second, is a single stack where there's 1 round on top of each other. Originally, there was a benefit with the 40 cal that there were a little bit heavier of a round, a little bit more stopping power, but modern day ballistics now, the 40 cal and the 9mm are almost exactly the same, if not the 9mm being a little bit more precise of a round and a better carry round. I like this gun to carry every once in a while. This is not my everyday carry. I will shoot this every once in a while. It is more expensive to shoot this gun than it is my 9mm. I have not put more than 5,000 rounds through this weapon, but I'm familiar enough with it that I can carry it and not having any issues carrying said firearm. This is your full size, by the way. This is a full size handgun. You can see that in reference to my hand, which is rather large, it fits in my hand very nicely. Moving down to a subcompact, this is my everyday carry Glock 26. Again, it's been racked. There's nothing in the magazine well. This is my everyday carry firearm. This is as easily concealable as the 38 revolver that we showed you earlier. For me anyway, I'm a large frame person. It's not hard for me to hide this in the waistband holster. This gun has had upwards of 10,000 rounds through it. I've had 0 failures. I've had a couple of stovepipes and a few misfeeds, but I believe that was my personal error, limp wristing the gun, so to speak, and we'll get into that more so on another video for accuracy tips. This gun has night sights on it. It has an extended magwell release over here so that it sticks out farther. It's easier to depress. It also has that same slide lock lever that we talked about. Because I'm left-handed, it's easier for me to reach around and slam that home. This gun also has, if you haven't noticed, on here, a TLR6 Streamlight light laser combo. You can turn that on, and that's the brightness of the light. You got the laser there as well. This gun goes everywhere with me, other than when I am at work, because we have a firearms policy. This gun goes to the store. This gun goes, you know, unless I'm going camping for an extended period of time, I bring the 357. However, this is the one that goes everywhere. This gun, double stack mag. Again, this is a 12 round as opposed to 15 on the 40. You can see the size difference there. I was originally turned on to this gun by my friend. We will call him Boris. He knows who he is. I shot his Glock 26, excuse me, and immediately knew I needed to buy one. And I bought one 2 or 3 days later. This is a far superior firearm in my mind. I've torture tested this weapon. I've tried to make it fail, and it just does not. We'll go down to a compact version, a 9mm Glock 43. Again, it is empty. This firearm I've actually never carried. I can say I've actually never even shot this one. Long story behind that. This is just something that's recently come back into my possession. 6 round +1, a little bit smaller width-wise. We'll compare the two of them together. You have the 43 over here and the 26 over here. You can see one's a little bit skinnier and one's a little bit fatter. You can also see the profile of the two weapons and see that the 43, a little bit skinnier. However, you're only getting 6 rounds with a Glock 43 as opposed to 12 +1 with the 26. So in my opinion, spring for the G26, if round count is dependent on your purchase. Now if you're a smaller framed human and you want to go with the 43, that's fine. Just carry an extra magazine or two. I don't know. It depends on how accurate you are, again, with your firearm. Those are the Glocks that I have and the revolvers that I have. Now, for you purists out there, I do have 2 1911s. Hopefully you like them. They are 2 different manufacturers. One is a Springfield. It is a GI model, and then I have a Paratech, which I think a lot of people are going to like. Again, here is a Springfield 1911 A1, just for everybody out there. It is empty. Now, you can hear the difference in racking the slide of a 1911 as opposed to racking the slide of a Glock. The reason for that is this gun is all metal. There's no plastic in this gun whatsoever. Even the grips here are made of wood. This is a very, I don't want to say dated, because I'm going to offend some people by saying that, but this is a very granddaddy gun, if you will. This firearm, I added the skeleton safety, the beaver tail here, just for protection of my hand. It fits better in my hand that way. I also put a magwell extender on here for easier reloads. The big thing about this firearm, it's in .45 caliber, so this is, again, an outdated round for some people, not most, but for some. This gun, again, single stack, you've got 7 rounds, or 7 plus 1. The nice thing about this firearm is that it has a hair trigger, and what does that mean? That's it. I'll do that again for you. All it's going to take is that. The trigger on that is only a couple pounds. That gun is something that I carry every once in a while just for nostalgia. But again, if you're looking for something that is sought after, or you want a 1911, this Springfield, price point wise, was pretty decent. It was only $500 or $600 when I bought it back in 2017, so I've had this one for a while. The problem with the 1911 is it's heavy. This thing is incredibly heavy compared to the Glock. I mean, I can just feel the difference in weight. This one being so much lighter than the 1911. Now, we showed you the single stack of this. This is just a plain Jane GI model. Well, I like my guns. So I went out and I found this gorgeous piece of equipment. This is a Paratech 1911. This is a double stack 1911. And to, again, for safety, everybody wants to talk about safety, and I don't disagree. Just the sound that freaking thing makes is awesome. This is a double stack. And the thing that's neat about this is that you've got 14 rounds of .45. Now with this, I'm not going to rack the gun, so relax. With 14 rounds in this gun, I'm going to set it down for a second, and 7 rounds in this gun, which one do you think weighs more? I told you how this one's all made out of steel and is metal and is heavy. You think this one weighs more with twice as many rounds, larger frame? Not so much. This one is lighter, loaded, than this one is. Partially because this one's aluminum, and the people at Paratech made this firearm just very, very light and very comfortable in the hand. Carrying this one is just like carrying the 1911A1, however, you've got 14 more rounds, so it's almost like having a Glock. Then again, like we've said before, the .45 caliber round is a little outdated. Going back to the Paratech, other than the grips, this gun is completely stock. It's just a fixed blade on the back and a red True Glow on the front. This is not something you're going to find very common. I don't even think they make this firearm anymore. It's got the mirror finish on it. You can see it there. This does not come out of the safe very often. This is I'm a collector of firearms and wanted to have something nice kind of thing. Going through the list here, the pros and cons of your semi-auto firearms. We're going to go back to, just for ease of filming, the .40 cal. Remember earlier I said you, in a fight, have a revolver and you push onto somebody, like so, that gun will still discharge. I'm going to scoot a little bit closer here so y'all can see what I'm talking about. When you take this firearm and you push into somebody, I want you to watch the rear of the firearm over here. You see that little bit of motion there? Say I push that into somebody. The gun is not going to go off. Well, actually it did there. Look at that. But let's try that again. A little bit more of a dramatic out of battery situation. No matter how many times I push, it's not going to go off. like so. So you have to make sure that your firearm, if you're pushing into somebody, say you get in a fight and shit's going bad, give yourself the space so that it goes off. Whereas with the revolver, it does not matter if I am driving this into your chest, into your ribs. It's going to go off. I'm physically pushing hard. Like I said, the redeeming fact of a revolver, this firearm is going to go off whether you're pushing it into somebody. It's got less mechanical parts to go wrong, less failures, more simplistic. Reloads are a little bit more of an issue. Try to get this on the camera here. I'm learning with the new camera we have going right now. However, let's see here. I don't know if you can see this or not, but to get those rounds out, you have to depress the pin here and it'll get rid of the old rounds. Just something for thought with that. Now, looking through my list here, I'm going to scoot back a little bit so that we get a full picture here. Some things you have to be mindful of. The hollow points are not legal in all states. I carry hollow points in pretty much every firearm that sits here right now, just for expansion purposes instead of full metal jacket. We've already talked about double stack magazines and single stack magazines. Ammunition. What do I carry? What should you carry? For the gun range, that doesn't really matter. You want to shoot your full metal jacket, FMJ rounds, that's fine. That's basically what I shoot through every firearm that's here on the table. For defense purposes, however, I am a big fan of Hornady Critical Defense and Critical Duty. What is the difference between the two? Your Critical Duty is, as described by Hornady and the FBI, mind you, personal protection situations and the best choice for short barrel, close encounter situations. So, your Glock 26 Critical Defense is perfect for that. They will expand. Let's say you're shooting and you've got to stop a threat. According to Hornady, going through thicker clothing, these hollow points will still expand. They're not going to get clogged. However, Critical Duty, these are law enforcement rounds. These are rounds that are meant for penetrating purposes. They're meant for full-size handguns, so your Glock 22 would be an example of a full-size handgun. These are heavy jacketed bullets with full power loads behind them. They penetrate through what Hornady and the FBI calls common urban barriers. And the definition off of Hornady's site for that is sheet metal, wood, plywood, drywall, and these have been tested and selected by the FBI for penetration and personal defense rounds, or critical duty rounds, I should say. Now, when they say sheet metal, they're talking about car doors. Wood, they're talking about walls. Plywood, same thing. Drywall, urban defense situations. The reason they don't recommend that you carry critical duty rounds in a firearm such as this with a short barrel compared to a full-size barrel is that they say when you shoot, there's going to be too much muzzle rise and your follow-up shot is going to take longer. Now, my personal opinion is, again, we're going to slide back here, if I have this gun up and I am going to do a follow-up shot, I will make sure that I am not limp-wristing the gun in that situation. So, the choice is truly yours of what do you want to carry. Do you want to carry the critical defense rounds that, yeah, they're good enough, or do you want to carry the critical duty rounds that if somebody's hiding behind a car door, you don't worry about the car door. That's just me. Every firearm that's on this table, other than the 357, carries critical duty rounds. The 357 right now is loaded with bear loads because of the fact that it's going to be going on a 24-mile hiking trip. I'll just show you one of the bear rounds here. That is the hollow point that goes into that 357. And just for comparison, you've got a 9mm round here and the 357. You can see the size difference in these rounds. I obviously use this one for bears for stopping power. Other than that, like I said, everything here is loaded with critical duty. It's all your own personal preference. Now, lastly on the list, I have holsters. Excuse me again. You have holsters that you can have in the waistband, outside the waistband. You have shoulder rigs and you have ankle guns. There are also holsters that you can put something like the 38 plus P in your pocket. I don't recommend that because that's an easy way for something to, God forbid, get in the trigger area here. Now granted, the trigger pull on this gun is a lot, but you got something like keys or a screwdriver for whatever reason in your pocket and it gets in between there, and as you pull the gun out, it depresses the trigger. It's just not my jive. I don't think that it's a grand idea to put a holster a gun in your pocket. I always do an outside the waistband holster. Alien Gear is a holster company that I use for almost every firearm that's here, or Blackhawk. I know there's going to be tons of comments, if any comments actually, about Blackhawk holsters and how they're terrible holsters. They're just what I like. Alien Gear is a very, very phenomenal company that I use, and I have holsters for almost every single firearm here from them. You can get generic holsters that are not firearm specific, but I wouldn't recommend that, especially if you're carrying this gun. Invest in a good holster. It's your everyday carry firearm. Invest in a decent holster, something that you know how to operate and something that you're going to be familiarized with. That being said, I've mentioned several different manufacturers of things: Hornady, Alien Gear, Blackhawk, Springfield, Glock. Just saying for the end of the video, I'm not endorsed by anybody. I have no sponsors whatsoever. Nobody's sent me any of this ensemble here today. This is all stuff that I own, that I pay for out of pocket, and I've shot, minus the Glock 43 and the Paratech. I haven't shot that yet either. But these are all guns that I bought for my own personal collection and have faith in. Like I said, the Glock 26 I've put upwards of 10,000 rounds through. It has wear and tear from being holstered and unholstered and practicing, and I've gotten that gun so hot that it's hot to the touch and can burn your hand. I physically have tried to make this firearm malfunction, whether it be getting it dirty, rapid firing it until the barrel is so hot that it burns your hand. It just keeps going. I did think about possibly doing a barrel obstruction video with that firearm, or getting some sand and throwing it in some sand and showing you that it still cycles. And the barrel obstruction video would be for the novice who's just getting into firearms and whatnot, showing them how to clear a barrel obstruction. Obviously, we're not going to shoot a barrel obstruction out of a gun. We're going to clean it. That being said, hopefully this video gave you some generalized ideas and put you in the right direction. The last thing I will say is, if you're unfamiliar with firearms, there are gun ranges that will give you rental opportunities to shoot a gun to see if you like it. We have a place locally called Heritage Guild that will rent a firearm to you so that you can shoot it and see if you like it or not. That being said, make sure that you have your gun etiquette down and you're not acting a fool at the gun range, because that is the quickest way for somebody to end up not letting you shoot a firearm. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you again for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Again, we're going to try and get more videos up that are firearm related, fishing related, kayaking, just generalized outdoors. I just got this camera that we're using right now, so hopefully everything goes well with this video. I've got a GoPro that we're going to use for this hike that I have coming up in about 2 weeks. And again, if you like what you see, subscribe, comment below if there's something that I didn't cover that you want to learn, and thanks for watching.